Listen to this.
While all you guys said, well, Shannon, you needed a follow-up question with what? I said I didn't ask no follow-up question when said he didn't steal the joke.
Yep.
Right.
That's not for me to decide. You decide.
Mm-hmm.
You decide who do you agree with. That's not my decision to make. That was it. I never said I was a journalist. I never professed to be a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an entertainer. If you want hard-hitting questions,
Yeah.
60 Minutes is the platform from you.
Right.
Dateline, 48 Hours.
Yep.
Go to Lester Holt. Go to somebody that does that.
That is where my problem lies. Shannon Sharpe did not tell a lie.
He didn't.
Shannon Sharpe is not a journalist. He's a Hall of Fame football player who's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, arguably the greatest tight end in football, and clearly one of them, who also happens to be an entertainer. He did not tell a lie.
Need I remind you, Shannon Sharpe is the most entertaining commentator out there by far, more than Stephen A. Smith, more than anybody else that you can think of, because Shannon Sharpe just has this thing about him. He has these sayings. He just come out of the top with it, and he's just always just crazy with it. He come out there with the GOAT mask on and the thing with LeBron James. I stopped watching Undisputed when Shannon Sharpe left, and I immediately started watching First Take solely because Shannon Sharpe was on First Take. That's the only reason why I watch right now. I only watch for Stephen A. Smith. I watch it for Shannon Sharpe.
But Shannon Sharpe cut himself short. Shannon Sharpe is a voice
Yes.
in our community. He's unk. He's conscientious. He's thoughtful. I'm telling you the Shannon Sharpe I've come to know. I've known him for years, but I ain't really know him. I love this brother. I love who he is. I got a hell of a lot of respect for him. And he's kicking ass. Got the #1 podcast on Apple in sports podcast. Got #3 overall podcast for Apple. He doing his damn thing. And this brother's going to continue to be a star in this business for years to come.
And his podcast, Club Shay Shay, has exploded since this Katt Williams interview. That thing got at least about 42 million views as of this video right now. I'm fairly certain that Shannon Sharpe probably got at least 500,000 subscribers just off of that video alone. I can't even imagine how much money he made on that video. Oh my God.
Remember, you're talking to the dude who went and got him. I went and got him. Because I knew what he'd bring.
Yep.
Yes, First Take on ESPN, #1 morning show. Been #1 for 12 years. And on a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, when Shannon ain't there, we still winning. We #1. But it ain't like we winning on Monday and Tuesdays. And I love every single contributor on my show. It's very, very few people on the planet Earth that can look at a show and have more than 10, 11, 12 contributors. And every single thing I've asked them to do, they've all come through. Love my brothers. Ryan Clark, Swagoo, Dan Orlovsky, Mad Dog Russo, Bart Scott, Kendrick Perkins, Jay Williams, Chris Canty, let me not forget him, a new addition to the show. Harry Douglas doing a great job for us when he shows up. Kimberly Martin, Monica McNutt, Mina Kimes, and of course, great Molly Karam. Everybody has done an outstanding job. Shannon's been off the charts. Shannon's been off the charts.
Yep.
And I knew how this industry would be, how they would go and try to blackball his ass when he was let go by FS1. And make no mistake, that's what happened. That's his business to tell. But he was pushed out. And I wasn't going to let that happen. I remember when I got pushed out in 2009. I wasn't going to let that happen to this brother because he's too gifted. He's too talented. He's too significant to our community. That's why I'm bringing all of this up. It's not about me. This is his day.
Yep.
He's the one that got the Katt Williams interview.
Give him his flowers.
He's the one that sat down and talked to him. He did all of that. He's the one that got 34 million plus people looking at this interview, broke the damn internet. It's going to get larger, by the way.
40.
I think they're going to reach about 50 million.
Yeah, more than that.
It's one of, if not, at the end, I believe at the end of it all, it will be, in terms of strictly numbers, the most significant podcast episode in history. It'll eclipse what Joe Rogan once did. It will eclipse what others have done.
Yep.
Because Katt Williams turned it out. Shit, he talked for 30 minutes before Shannon asked the question.
He ain't lying. Katt Williams really did talk for like 30 minutes when he started that podcast. Shannon Sharpe started the interview saying, I'm Shannon Sharpe. This is Club Shay Shay. I'm the sole proprietor. Took a sip. Katt Williams took a sip. And Katt just went off for like 30 minutes straight. Katt just went completely ether on everybody. And then Shannon asked his first question. Shannon got to thank Katt Williams for the bulk of that because them first 30 minutes, that was the real bread and butter. That's what really got you hooked, them first 30 minutes. And for an almost 3-hour interview, Who is out here watching a 2-hour and 45-minute interview? That's longer than most of these movies out here. That's like going to see fucking Avatar and they're doing 40 million views, and this is YouTube. That's crazy.
And to agree or disagree, that's for all of them to handle. Steve Harvey, Kevin Hart, Cedric the Entertainer, Ricky Smiley, Mark Curry, Tiffany Haddish, whoever else he talked about, that's for them. Tyler Perry, that's for them to handle.
And we have not heard a damn word about Steve Harvey since Katt Williams smoked the hell out of his ass, talking about he stole all of Mark Curry's jokes. He wearing a toupee when he really bald-headed like we see him now. We have not heard one single statement from Steve Harvey, anybody representing Steve Harvey. We have heard absolutely nothing. So you could only think, well, maybe Katt was telling the truth about Steve Harvey. Maybe he was stealing Mark Curry's jokes. Maybe he is much of a fraud as we all think he's possibly been. Definitely have seen Steve Harvey being the sip of the year with the way he talks about women in the books and all this other kind of stuff, the talk show and everything, the TV show. Steve Harvey is not the person who you look to for real relationship advice, real marriage advice. When you watch Steve Harvey's show, you don't never see any men in that audience. All you see is a whole bunch of women just saying, yes, yes, tell us what we want to hear. Yes, make us feel good. Yes, yes. You never see any men in that audience saying, right on, brother. I like what you're saying. I agree with you. I applaud you. You never see any brothers in the audience when Steve Harvey's talking, when he's doing his show.
I don't know those facts. I don't cover that. And I've never, ever had a conversation with any of them about Katt Williams or vice versa. Ain't my place. But what I can speak to is Shannon limiting himself to being just an entertainer. He is not. He's more than that. He's a voice. And when he called himself an entertainer, that took me aback because I know he's not. This brother knows football inside and out. He teaches me football every day. Just listen to him talk it. Just so you, he knows it backwards and forwards. But he's a conscientious brother.
Yep.
Who cares about a lot of different issues. And when he speaks on it, he attacks it with fervor and vigor. He is to be respected and appreciated in ways that most people, quite frankly, haven't done enough. And so my only words to him is that, nah, bro, you a voice. You ain't just an entertainer. You don't ever want to give the impression that, you know what, you can just say what you want because I'm not a journalist. You don't have to be a journalist. All you need to do is be you.
Yep.
And be that conscientious observer that you are. Now, there's a lot of people out there that's going to criticize him and they're going to talk about, well, he didn't do follow-up, or he didn't do this, he didn't do that. Stop that, you jealous asses. Stop it.
Honestly, he really didn't need to. He didn't need to do any follow-up because Katt Williams did enough. And Shannon Sharpe, he is very smart. He knows there's millions of people going to see this. He tried to stay as neutral as possible because he did not want to throw shade on anybody else. Not just because that's not who he is, but he has a brand. He has a reputation to uphold. This man is on ESPN. He is under Disney. He has a large brand to worry about. And the last thing he needs is for him saying some very shady stuff, some very controversial things about anybody else. He don't want that kind of smoke. He don't need to put any of his money at jeopardy, any of his podcasts at jeopardy, none of that kind of stuff. So he is going to stay as neutral as possible. And if somebody else is going off, let them go off. You try to stay in the middle ground. You try to stay in a place of positivity. And Shannon was asking questions. Shannon was trying to reel him back in. Shannon was trying to have a conversation about Katt, but Katt wanted to have a conversation about everybody else, about all those other comedians, Ricky Smiley, Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey. Wanted to have a conversation about everybody else, specifically the people that's been on Club Shay Shay and just straight lying. He had to set the record straight.
I'm the professional journalist. Would I have done more follow-ups? Probably. That's not the point. The point is, Steve Harvey came on his show and said whatever it is that he said. I never saw that interview. Cedric the Entertainer came on the show and said whatever it was he said. So if Katt Williams wanted to come on the show and say what he said, then I understand where Shannon is coming from. Would I have done things differently? Maybe, because I'm a journalist at heart.
Yep. Yes.
I wasn't good enough to be some damn Hall of Famer.
Woo.
And the greatest tight end in the history of football.
A lot of us were.
He does his show his way. I do my shows my way. Somebody else does this show their ways. Joe Rogan is different than Bill Simmons, who's different than Shannon, who's different than me, who's different than Podcast P, who's different than Draymond, who's different than a whole bunch of other people. That's the way it goes.
We all have our own style. We all have our own way of doing things. And that was Shannon Sharpe's way of doing that interview, doing that conversation, as he would call it. Stephen A. Smith would have did it differently because he has a long history of being a journalist, a long history of interviewing so many people over his career. Shannon Sharpe is an entertainer first. He's been an entertainer since he's been an NFL player. What do sports players do? They entertain the crowd. What do you think he was doing all those antics on the sideline for? He was talking so much trash. Why? Because it was entertaining to people. When he was on Undisputed, he was entertaining to watch. That was the only reason why you watch Undisputed. You didn't watch it for Skip Bayless. You watched Undisputed for Shannon Sharpe because he was entertaining to watch. People want to be entertained. They don't really want an interview to learn about a personal particular situation. They want to be entertained first, and then they want to learn. They want to listen. They want to be intrigued about something. But if you entertain them first, then you got them. Then you have them hooked on. And that's what the whole interview was. That first 30 minutes was so entertaining to watch. It hooked all of us into the rest of the interview.
But the one thing I was qualified to speak on was Shannon telling the world he's not a journalist. Go watch 60 Minutes. Go watch Dateline. Go watch 48 Hours.
Yep.
Nah, bro, they watching you. They watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're watching you, don't ever call yourself just anything, because you're not. Unc is my brother. It's my man. I will never, ever stop being gracious and grateful to him for coming on First Take. I'm sure he had options. It might not have been for the immediate moment in television because, like I said, I thought he was on the verge of being blackballed.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't about to let that happen. But what he's doing with Club Shay Shay and what he's doing with Nightcap and what he's doing with all these other... No, that's Shannon. That's Shannon.
Solely Shannon.
And I'm going to always support that brother, even when I disagree with him. And I'm not saying that's the case here or anything, because I don't know what the truth is, what it isn't. I don't know. But I'm going to always root for that brother. That brother shows up to work. He does his job. He's about winning.
He be fly, too.
And he's about doing what it takes to win. And the success that myself and Molly and the rest of our team has been able to enjoy on First Take, although the success was there before he ever arrived, there is no question he has been an incredible asset since he has arrived.
Yes.
And big things are in his future. And I got news for you, Shannon. It ain't there just because you're an entertainer. It's there because you a hell of a lot more than that, brother. Rising tides lift all boats. Shannon, nor anybody else is going to stop me from getting mine. But I got news for y'all. I ain't going to stop them from getting theirs either. If anything, I'm going to help. And that goes for Shannon. That goes for Ryan Clark on the Pivot. It goes for Swagoo, Marcus Spears. It goes for my man Kendrick Perkins. It goes for all my brothers and sisters that I work with. But I don't ever want to hear any of them limiting themselves to calling themselves an entertainer. You more than that. A hell of a lot more than that. And I'm proud to say that because you deserve it. This ain't about the interview. That's a different subject for another day with somebody that's more enlightened about the comedic world than me. I'm talking about Shannon Sharpe, the person. And I'm talking about Shannon Sharpe, the figure that he has become.
What do y'all think about Stephen A's reacting to Shannon Sharpe interviewing Katt Williams? Do you think that Stephen A is right saying that Shannon Sharpe is more than just an entertainer? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.